All right, good morning, guys. Thanks for coming. It's been really great over the last 2 days to really get back to football. To be part of this program, Coach Saban affording me the opportunity to come in here has been great. Going through spring ball, through recruiting, and really now getting back to the field. And I think the last 2 to 3 days when you come in here, it's a reminder of where you're at. You know, you walk in the building and you see the trophies and all the great players and great coaches that have been here before. And you walk out onto the field and you smell the grass. You see all the great players that we have right now, the great staff that I'm fortunate to be part of. Has been very exciting. Been very fortunate to be a lot of places, have a lot of great jobs, and to come here with the opportunity that Coach Saban has given me has been great. As far as our relationship, to be able to come in here to learn from him and really to learn the process. You know, you talk about toughness and discipline and commitment and pride about what this place is about and what he's built over the 7 years. To come in and learn that it's been really exciting, but it's one thing to learn it, it's another thing to see it. You know, I was here for 8 days during the bowl preparation, and I got to hear about it, see a little bit, but then when you see the way that the players, the entire building buys into it, you can see why the success has been the way it has been here over the last 7 years. As far as the offense, the last thing we would want to do is come in here and change a bunch of stuff. As I mentioned before, it's a great offensive staff that's been together here, had a great run last year on offense. A number of players had great success last year, so really just coming in, looking at some things, very small changes, just to make sure at the end of the day we're putting our great players in the best position to utilize their talents, in the best position for us to win games. Coming here and being around the people of Alabama, they have been great. They've really welcomed from the day that I got here and really made me feel at home, no matter where it is around town, whether it's the people in the building, whether it's the fan base, and just excited to be a part of this and excited really just to go back to work. Go back to work of doing like the last 2 days of being in there, the grind of football, the grind of camp, and just to be part of the staff, the program, and these players.
Start with Cecil.
Coach, just to follow up a little bit for you personally, the transition from a different role, a different geography and so forth, how have the last 8 months been for you? Yeah,
it's been great. You know, I talked about the last couple of days of getting back to football, but obviously getting hired here, you're going back into football and the recruiting and the spring ball and everything. But, you know, having a little time off there after getting fired at USC, you know, it kind of re-excites you to get back. And obviously I'd love to be a head coach. There's a lot of great things about that, but when you step back and you go into a role of being an assistant coach, you know, your focus is so much back on football and player development and working with the players and the other coaches, whereas a head coach you're pulled so many different directions. So that's been exciting too, to get back to that, because obviously I did that for a long time before becoming a head coach.
I want to ask you about T.J. Yeldon. What did you see from him personality-wise, and what do you like about his game?
Yeah, T.J., to come in and see him from the first day that I've got here, all I've seen is somebody that works extremely hard. Doesn't say very much. Doesn't ever ask about how you're going to utilize me, what different plays we're going to do. He just goes to work. Trains extremely hard. You watch him in the off-season workouts during the spring, and then now that we're out there practicing, guy goes as hard as anybody on our team and just wants to be great and just wants to learn.
On the left, John.
Lane, you've referenced in the past mistakes you think you've made. What have you learned about yourself as a coach, and do you still have aspirations to be a head coach?
Yeah, I think as you make mistakes, the number one thing that you better do is learn from them and not just make excuses for them. So I've made more than anybody probably, and like I said, to be able to go through what I've gone through and still be fortunate before the age of 40 to be here, to be an offensive coordinator with Coach Saban at Alabama. You know, you take some time to reflect on that and really to think that what I think of probably, you know, two of the most successful coaches maybe ever in football, and Pete Carroll and Nick Saban, to have the opportunity to be coordinators for both those guys at a young age, when both those programs are really rolling at the top of the ladder, have been great. As far as being a head coach, yeah, I think that's always in your blood when you're competitive. But this is not about Lane Kiffin or anything before or where he's going. This is about Alabama and getting started, and a lot of hard work to get ready for a very tough opener.
I wanted to ask just how this opportunity came about, and how much do you think being here for those practices in December helped improve your chances of getting this job?
Yeah, I don't think being here for those practices for the bowl preparation had anything to do with this. Obviously, you'd have to ask Coach Saban that. Knowing him before and just really knowing what he was about, I always thought this would be a great opportunity if it ever presented itself somehow. There was actually some conversations a long time ago, I guess, that would Coach's first year when he first got here, actually on the phone with him, and some conversation about coming here at that time. Decided to stay at USC at that time. So it was something that I had kind of always thought about, because I think the more you can learn from the more people, obviously, the better you can become as a coach. And so to be able to be around all the successful people I had before, and now to be able to come and learn about not just the process here, about what it is about with the players, but the everyday way he goes about the way he works. I don't know how someone could be more dedicated to a program as a head coach. You know, and there's, well, whatever his age is, how does he do it? He's relentless every single day about making the Alabama football program better and everybody within it.
Up front here, Ken.
Hey, Coach. Yep. Was just wondering if you'd share a little bit about what you did see in December. You know, I know you came in as a consultant deal. Would you share what you noticed?
Sure. Coming here for those 8 days really just was a phone call that Coach had made, and obviously he knew I didn't have very much going on, so I had some free time to come in, and so I took my vacation in Tuscaloosa here for 8 days at the Capstone Hotel, and it was just interesting to come in and not have to work as far as running meetings as a head coach, I think for 7 years at that point, and just to sit back and look at the entire program and watch the players, the staff, the head coach, everything. And so it was really good for me personally to do, whether I was going to end up here or not, because at the time that had nothing to do with coming here. But I saw, obviously now what I'm seeing even more about the commitment and the dedication and the hard work and the way that the approach is every day here, from the coaches that gets down to the players, that really is throughout the entire building. You know, this is a place that's completely dedicated and committed to winning and to playing extremely well and working really hard, and that's what you see every day here. And you see, it was amazing to see the style of practice and how physical practice was and how the players responded to it. You know, there were no players ever trying to take themselves out. Oh, it's bowl practice and it's practice one and we don't play for a long time. The competitiveness of the practices here is something really, really special.
Right here.
You've got a couple dynamic receiving options in Amari Cooper and O.J. Howard as a tight end. What do you think of their game, and do you get excited about how you could use them?
I do. You know, watching Amari, much like TJ, does not say very much. Just goes to work every day. You know, we would have workouts when we first got here, and Amari sometimes would work out 2 hours before the workout started, which I thought it was a really hard workout that we're doing, the fourth quarter program here, and he'd work out 2 hours before that. So Amari, you know, just, we were joking yesterday, myself, Christian Jones, and him about some off-field stuff. And what you realize about Amari is there really isn't any off-field stuff. Amari is completely dedicated to being the best football player that he can and completely focused. And so he's great to work with. He wants to be great, but then also wants to expand his game. You know, he's the guy that's going to come in and ask questions about, you know, how do you move around people? You know, Marquise Lee caught all those balls. How did he get to those spots and stuff like that? So he's been great to work with. OJ, really extremely talented. A guy who more was a receiver last year, so we're working more with him about expanding his game to be able to do everything. The last thing we want to do with guys here is just focus on what they do really well. You know, that's our challenge in camp for offensive players. Let's focus on what you haven't done so well and not what you've done well. We know what you can, and let's bring your game up. And so a good example of that is him becoming an inline player that can play all the time, you know, and help him not for just success now, but obviously for the long term.
Michael on the left
What was the hardest part about going from being the guy, the head coach, to being a coordinator, and also what are your thoughts going into when you're going back to Knoxville this October?
Okay, took a long time for the Knoxville question. Going back to being a coordinator, there's adjustment there, obviously. You go for 7 years of being a head coach, and obviously you're running everything. To now you got to go back and go back to being an assistant coach. But it's not like I haven't done it before. I did it before, so you just go back, and this is easy here. Because you go from being a head coach and you come into a place. The last thing you're going to do with Coach Saban's success that he's had here and the way that he runs his program is to sit here and say, well, I don't know why he does this. I don't know why he does this. So you just come in really to learn it and to just be a part of it. And so that part's been easy. As far as going back to Tennessee, we had a great year there. The people were phenomenal there. Really loved being there. It was just a unique situation that came about. You can't look back. I just don't live that way of looking back and saying, well, shouldn't I have left? I don't live that way. You got to live forward and look forward. And we're excited about this year coming up. Obviously, we're going there, and that'll be an extremely competitive game. But we're focused right now on getting better today in day 3 of camp.
Kind of two questions. First off, would you have taken any other offensive coordinator job in college football?
I don't know that because I don't really live in the world of what I don't know, and so this was an opportunity that came about that was an easy decision for me. There was some conversations about assistant coach in the NFL, that I was going over, and it just, I just always want to be learning and growing, and I can't imagine a better place in the NFL or in college to go to learn from someone who's been so successful and someone that teaches his coaches. It's one thing to go to a successful head coach that really doesn't have a lot of meetings and he just kind of runs his own deal. Coach Saban teaches his coaches every single day about what he wants, the way he expects things to be done, how you can improve, and he helps his coaches grow, which is why he said so many assistant coaches go on to be so successful.
Do you take a lot of notes? Are you kind of in like a postdoctoral program here to become a better coach yourself?
Sure, yeah. To me, there'd be no other option. If you're not going to come in here and not try to learn everything that you can from Coach Saban. So yeah, I'm sitting there every day learning different stuff from him. So we already met this morning, so he made sure I didn't say anything, that would be on the ticker today.
Finish up with Andrew on the left.
Just throughout your career, you've seemed to craft good relationships with quarterbacks. What's it about that you've been able to relate with them well and kind of get the best out of them?
Yeah, I think it's extremely important, head coach or coordinator, regardless, as the play caller, it's extremely important to have that relationship with the quarterback because, to me, we have to be on the same page. I've got to see the game through him, and he's got to see the game through me because it doesn't matter what I know. I may know everything, be able to draw everything up, whatever, but that's got nothing to do with whether he's going to be successful. So we've got to make sure that we have a relationship that we get to the point eventually, like the great quarterbacks that we've had, that they start to think the exact same way that you think. You're on the same page. You may be sending a play and you're halfway through the play, they turn around and go start calling the play because they know what play you're getting ready to call because of that relationship that you develop with them.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, guys.